Welcome to the next episode of Dr. Kamini Rao's Masterclass. I would like to open this episode with a quote from Sadhguru. Indian classical music and dance are not just for entertainment, they are designed to elevate the consciousness. Viewers, our guest today is none other than Vani Ganapathy, who is well-known personality because of her talent, which has played an integral part in her rise to international recognition for Bharatanatyam. Her artistic and expressive ways have always made the audience awestruck. To watch her dance is to hear our hearts speak. So let's welcome her. Our honor to have you with us, a great personality like yourself who has consumed herself to light our society with your dance movements. Thank you, Vani, for accepting our invitation. Thank you. So, Vani, my first question to you would be, how early did you learn dance? Because I think dance is in your blood, in your mind, in your heart, and which other organ can I say? I think it's everywhere. So it must have come from family, and father, mother, everyone has been so much ingrained with art and culture. Can you give us a brief background?
Okay, so I started when I was 4, and I think at 4 no child likes regimentation, so I don't think it was something that I was dying to do. My mother was going to her dance class, and she obviously couldn't leave a 4-year-old child at home, so she took me with her and put me into the toddler class. So I think I had this ambience of dance all around me from the age of 4. And then my mother, after a certain point, she wanted me to pursue it. So my debut performance was when I was 7.5.
You mean the Arangetram?
Yes, Ranga
Oh
Pravesha Arangetram, 7.5. That was my first. And at that age you don't have anything like stage fright, You're not conscious, you're not worried about making mistakes or something like that. So in the process, you're very natural. And then at the end of the performance, I wanted to give a speech. So I told my father before itself that, can I make a speech? So my dad said, okay, you write it. So it wasn't like they prompted what I should say, and I wrote it and they just corrected me, and then I spoke. And when I spoke, I think the first thing I said was, I'm sorry if I've made mistakes. And I'm sure everybody in the audience must have had a good laugh because, as you grow older and do Ranga Pravesha, there's always this thing about, say, 15, 16, your audience gets a little critical about it. But at 7.5, that doesn't really happen. So that's how I started. And that was as a solo, my debut. Mm-hmm. And then my sister joined me, Meera. So Meera also got into dance. So her debut was as a duo. I danced with her. So it was as Vani and Meera. And it ran in my mother's family, side of the family. Music, dance, poetry, theatre, writing, everything. All the artistic side is more from my mother's side of the family. Everybody, even if they have pursued other professions, they have all, had dance or music, either as a passion or did it for some time and then stopped. But every one of them, all my aunts, cousins, all have musical
in their blood.
Yeah, music and dance in their blood.
Well, I think, you came in an era where dance and music was so much as a hobby, so people actually took it as a kind of not a business, but as a kind of hobby which they would do because that was sort of a done thing for girls before they got married. So when the boy came to see them, they'd say, can you sing or can you dance? And then you had to say yes. But it never took a turn to become a profession by itself. So to what extent was your mother responsible to get you into this and make this into a profession?
Well, if you really look at it, I mean, as much as what you're saying could be true, but partially, because all the big names of dance in solos are all people from the earlier time. All of them have pursued it as a career. Today, I mean, whether you take any of the big names at that time, all of them who took it seriously pursued it as a career. Today they have options, so many of them take dance and then they are following a career too. I would really say that in my case, it was definitely my mother's passion. And at a certain stage in my life, I guess I decided that this is what I want to do. It was about when I was 16, I had an eye accident. And my father before that wanted me to do medicine.
Oh.
So there was medicine and there was dance. So I was studying science, but at some stage when this accident happened, my father also said that, you know, I don't want it to look like you're being pushed into too many things. You make your choice. And I think it was around that stage I decided that I would want to do dance seriously without knowing that with how much forward I would go or anything. But my mother played a huge, huge role in that, huge. Because she was one of those mothers, the gentlest soul you can meet. But when it came to dance, we all used to feel she's a tigress.
Wow.
Because there was no question of not practicing. There was no question. Yes, you can do your studies and everything, but if you've chosen this, you have to practice. So I remember even in school for that matter, every weekend I used to be performing with my sister Meera, and we travel. I mean, those days organizers didn't pay for flights and things. We went by train overnight on Friday night. Saturday, Sunday would be our performances, whichever part of Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu, wherever. And Sunday night immediately, sometimes in costume we've come with the shawl onto the train, changed, and then left from, landed in Bombay next day and back to school. So there were times when I used to tell my mother, Mom, please, can we not have this weekend and things. But now when I think about it, I think she, thanks to her, that if I am anything, if people know me as a dancer, or if I can say my identity is a dancer, then it's definitely due to her.
Well, I think I'm happy that you say that, but I would like you to look at it from the dance kind of rituals that you had in your time to the kind of dance steps and things like that they have now. In fact, I can't even see any resemblance. Like say for example, even Bollywood dances today, there's no rhythm, there's just noise. And even if you see the steps, I feel that these legs don't belong to them. You know, the legs are going in all directions, 360 degrees, whereas there was so much of grace and movement in dance of yesteryears. Can you comment on that?
Well, yes, to a large extent, dance has, at least for classical dance, I can say those days most of the actresses were trained in classical dance to be able to learn the dance movements and in films. And even films were hugely influenced by classical dance. I mean, if you see Kamala Lakshman, if you see Vaijayantimala, if you see Padmini, all of them, Hema Malini, Wahida Rahman, I mean, you name...
All of them had to have some amount
Asha Parekh, all of them, they knew dance. It was either Kathak or Bharatanatyam, but they knew dance. So today, Bollywood dancing is probably also because it's a much more simpler dance form, the Bollywood kind of dancing. So the common man is able to ape it, whatever. Whereas with the classical dance, as you said, because of the grace, it comes with years of putting in your practice and things like that.
But more than that, it's not only the steps, but it's also the facial fluidity that you have and the expressions that you see of dance in the yesteryears. You don't see it here. And you see always that dum, 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 and you know that foot stamping and
and-
thumping, and sometimes the music itself almost gets your bones to vibrate. And I feel that whether we were doing a march past or whether we were having a music concert, it's very difficult to decide where are we.
Well, you know, I guess there are both sides to it, because people who love classical dance and music, when they see the Bollywood, they say, my God, this is so disappointing. But if you see the newer
new
dancers, they say, no, they don't want to see classical music or dance. But a nice blend are people, if you see actresses like Sri Devi or Madhuri Dixit, or in South we have Shobana, we have so many actresses. Most of them, invariably those who came from the South, most of them had dance as a background.
But if you look at, you came in from Kolkata, then settled in Bombay, then moved to Chennai, and then came to Bangalore. So, in a way, you've been wandering quite a bit. Okay. So, what has been your experiences in Kolkata? Can you just trace your steps?
So, my debut performance, as I said, was Calcutta, because I grew up there. I must have been around 1 or so when my parents moved. And then 1 or 2 I must have been. So, Calcutta was my debut performance, and my sister also performed with me in Calcutta. Her debut was also. Then my father moved to, the company transferred him to Mumbai. And fortunately for me, my guru from Calcutta, under whom I did my debut performance, Guru Rajalakshmi, the same gharana, in Tamil, in typical Tamil we say Pani, so the same style of dance continued, as in not just Bharatanatyam, but in Bharatanatyam the different schools of Bharatanatyam. So the guru that she learnt from and whom she was trained from, that guru's sons and son-in-law were all teaching in Mumbai. So she directly put us on there, and she said, you will find the same style continue. And that's what happened. It's the same style that continued. And my gurus, Guru Mahalingam Pillai, Govindaraja Pillai, and Guru Kalyanasundaram, who was the one who I finally settled down with. All are the same family, brothers and brother-in-law. And then from Mumbai, my college was Sophia's, my school was Kambala Hill and St. Teresa's Convent. So did a lot of dancing, did for all the dignitaries who came to Raj Bhavan. We almost were known as, oh, so-and-so King and Queen of Nepal are coming, Vani and Meera will be dancing. So I had a lot of fabulous opportunities performing in this Raj Bhavan, and hell of a lot of performances. As Vani and Meera, we traveled to South, North, Maharashtra, everywhere. And then when I got married, I moved to Chennai. I was there for till 1987. And then I wanted to come to a place which had a balance of the South Indian culture and a little bit of Mumbai and everything. Mm-hmm. So the modern and the traditional. So I moved here. And also my in-laws, I wanted to be close enough to be able to travel fast there. Mm-hmm. And then also my parents were still living in Mumbai, to move to be with my parents. And so I felt Bangalore had a terrific balance of that. Mm-hmm. And the traditional art was also here a lot. And I loved the climate of Bangalore. Yes. I mean, what Bangalore was in 1987 till, I would say till about 8 years ago, that Bangalore I do hugely miss, but I still love Bangalore.
Well, we being in Bangalore all these years, we miss the Bangalore of yesteryears. Okay. Now, getting back onto the subject, I think how do you actually look at the Gurukul kind of training that we used to have earlier for all these art forms to the kind of teaching that we have in the present day dance teaching?
Okay, if you see Gurukul or Guru Shishya Parampara, what they call Gurukul, that had almost gone away even when I learnt in Mumbai and Calcutta, because there you actually lived in your guru's, with your guru's family and thing, and that over generations has moved off. But I still had that privilege of going to my guru's house, staying the whole day rehearsing, having lunch with them, then again start rehearsing again. So they became almost like second parents. I mean, for me, when my parents were doing the Kanyadan, my guru and his wife were very much there sitting with my parents. Well, I mean, even now I have that relationship with them. For any little thing, if I want to discuss with somebody for an opinion, I talk to my guru and his wife. His wife is a very integral part of my life. And so, I mean, when my niece got married, they flew down from Mumbai because my parents weren't alive. And they said no, instead of Mr. Ganapathy and Balamami, Balamami was how she was known among everyone, we are coming down, and they flew down for her marriage. So that still existed in a different way. But yeah, today also may not be as much, but my students, for example, they definitely tell me that, Vani auntie, we have learnt dance from you, but we've learnt much more from you than just dance. I mean, the personality that they feel that they have developed into. I don't know, I mean, I guess every teacher has their style of teaching, but in my case, it was like, you know, it's a complete, you know, it's a wholesome package that I...
A personality development.
Yeah,
so.
but that's what dance does, you know, that's exactly what dance does. It teaches you discipline, style, grace. And that's the way I like to mold my students, because some of them may pursue it, some may not. But what did they take home from dance? Is it just dance per se, or is it more? So it does exist, but in different formats. It may not be now the way it was in my generation.
Yes, I agree with you, because what happens is when you look at students, one looks at students as your children because they spend a lot of time with you, and students look up to you for not only your subject teaching, that is dance, but they look at discipline. They want to see whether you practice what you preach. And when they see you, they mirror themselves on the same lines. And so it becomes extremely important that
you... See, the other thing is, when we all learned, our teachers came from that lineage, okay? Our gurus came from a certain family, certain parampara, certain lineage. But they were not performers.
Absolutely.
So they could teach us dance, they could teach us, okay, this is what should be done. Okay, by the time it reached my own Guru Kalyanasundaram itself, I think I learnt a lot of things other than just dance per se, as in how we present ourselves. But now I'm a performer, so when I teach my students, I teach them to the extent of how you take the lights, how your costumes should be. It's a package. We do it like a package.
Excellent. Another thing that I wanted to say is that most of the dancers don't do singing themselves. They get somebody else to sing.
Yeah.
And most of the dancers are also taught some singing, so that it goes together.
Right.
And this, I don't know whether you do it in your dance school, get them all to sing and dance.
Well, no, I don't. Not for anything else, because I didn't start teaching with an intention to be I had no intention of being a teacher. I never ever wanted to be a teacher. It just incidental.
Okay.
Because my guru was, every time he came down to conduct a performance of mine, the audience at the end of it, a lot of them would come up to my guru after meeting me and say, when are you going to start? When are you going to start? Because I think Rajarajeshwari's style of Bharatanatyam and Tanjavur Pani, and particularly Guru Kalyanasundaram style of Bharatanatyam is something which is very eye-catching. So they used to ask, and one such performance when I was in Chowdeya, my guru just announced on the stage, my student will be teaching. I will come, but my student will be teaching. I was caught off guard. I didn't even think this was going to happen. So I even told him, Masterji, how can you commit for me like that? But that's how it started. It started off like that. So since, as I told you, I didn't look at it at only from teaching point. I mean, since I wasn't planning teaching, I didn't go in a particular format that I would teach them music also and things like that. And by that time, the children were doing so many. I was taking all my students at the age of 7. So I just felt there was too much that was happening. I never had a particular dance space except my own dance hall for practice. And I didn't feel for a school. Of course, I began it over there, but then I felt my privacy was going because every day there was classes happening in the evening and people rushing in and out of the house and things. So over a period of time, though I started it at home, I hired a place. So as I said, I did not do it like a lot of dancers who have become teachers now. They all built their homes with that in their mind, that they are going to teach, and so they would have a hall where they would teach and things like that. I didn't. So when I started my life here, was just like, okay, a home and then me as a performer.
So you allowed things to just flow on, and that's what is very important. That's so much unique about you, and you're very spontaneous. In fact, when I did want you to interview you, it was this spontaneity that I found very interesting, and being very independent, being bold, never fearing to sort of venture into something new, no fear of failing, and still maintaining your identity. And so as you moved on and you felt that yes, this is the time I'm going to find my partner, and then you went, your finding your partner took you to Chennai. Now, how did that happen?
Okay, well, meeting Kamal was one of those
Mad
one
romance.
doesn't think about these things, because I was living in Bombay and I would have never thought that I would meet Kamal Haasan in...
Was he that famous at that time?
Not so famous. He was in Malayalam films, he was very famous. But you see, living in Bombay, I wasn't exposed too much to Tamil cinema or South cinema at all. And so it was my guru's family who wanted me to meet a filmmaker. And I went to meet the filmmaker, and that's, we were all there in Chennai at the same time. My mother was with me and things. And at the recording studio, Kamal was sitting next to me, a few chairs away from me, and I didn't know that's Kamal Haasan. And then after the recording, he just came and sat next to me and introduced himself. And we met, and I was supposed to do a song in a film. I was supposed to do the character in the film. And after the song, by the time we had started shooting the song, halfway through, Kamal just went and asked my mother that I would like to marry her. And so by the end of the song, it was...
all over.
We were already, dating each other kind of thing. And it was there for 4 years. And then we got married. And it was, in my opinion, it was a very beautiful marriage.
Excellent.
It lasted for that many years. And when it didn't last, I guess that's how life is.
Absolutely.
Too much of planning doesn't happen. If everybody thinks that marriage is the
be all and end all.
Yeah, one part of it is that. My grandmother was one. Even before I got married, when I was 18, I remember my grandmother telling me that, Vani, please remember, my grandmother was very education oriented. So she said, and art and education. So she said, Vani, marriage is a phase in every human being, every woman's life. It's a beautiful phase. If it happens, it's wonderful. If it doesn't happen, also it's fine. But it's not the be-all and end-all of life. And that I would never forget, because that's definitely one of the things that made me move forward. I wasn't broken about it. And yes, everybody goes through a kind of, you can call it hurt, disappointment. But there was so many, I mean, doors for me just opened in my dance. I didn't even know this was what I was going to earn my living. I didn't even know this is what is going to make me as a known person. And I didn't look for it like, I have to become famous, I have to be this, I have to be that. My father used to tell me, Vani, for somebody like you, if you were more ambitious, where you would have gone? Because he said the kind of people you know, the kind of friends you have. But I don't know, I never kept a certain thing as a target and said, that is what I'm going to become.
You just allowed it to flow.
Yeah, I just let my entire life flow. And maybe at the age when I married, it was different, but after that, I have let things just flow. I don't know whether I should say I have let things flow or life has taken me on that journey, because I do believe that there is a power which just held my hand and took me.
A supernatural power.
100%.
Yes.
100.
And who could that supernatural power be? Should it be Sai Baba or something?
Yes, yes. For me, Baba is, I think
important.
he's the most beautiful. He represents love. Love, love and love. So
that's true.
He just has taken me on this journey which I never knew what my next thing is going to be, or that I'm going to be doing interiors, that I'm going to be known as a dancer, that I'm going to be a teacher. I never knew, and it just happened.
But the way you've taken this separation and divorce has been so mature, and it's a kind of a lesson or a kind of example that is to so many couples, because you've got no bitterness, you still maintain cordial relationship with the family, and they come and stay in your house in Bangalore and you go across and stay with them. What a beautiful relationship. I mean, this is what relationship is, and I feel that very few people can actually match up with the maturity you have, Vani. What do you have to say to that?
So first and foremost is my gratitude to my in-laws family, because at no point of time did they ever make me feel I'm no longer part of them. So, because in India we don't marry the person, we marry the family.
Yes.
And when I separated, when I divorced and that happened, I didn't divorce the family and they didn't divorce me either. And for that I have to say thank you to every one of them. They made me feel special. They made me feel a daughter. More than a daughter-in-law, they made me feel a daughter, and I'm still that in that family. Even after my parents passed away, my parents are my sister-in-law and brother-in-law. I can't even call them sister-in-law and brother-in-law. They are my parents. And my brother-in-law has always said, I have 4 daughters. You're the eldest. So that's the way they have made me feel. To this day, if I go to Chennai, I stay with Hasni and Swasni and Maniratnam. Her parents stay with her. And so also when Hasni comes here, or my brother-in-law used to travel that time, he would stay with me. Hasni, almost every shooting of hers stays with me. Of course, when she can't and she is shooting at the other end, she'll tell me, but she'll make it a point to then stay one extra day so she can spend time with me. And she's been a niece, what should I say, she's actually like a daughter, but more than anything, we are very, very good friends.
Which is really nice, because what happens is this friendship becomes only stronger and stronger. It's not because you are related by blood or you're related by this or that. It's just that bonds just go stronger.
So when people tell me it's a blood relationship, blood is thicker than water, I don't believe in it at all. I think in my case, yes, my sisters are fantastic, my brother-in-law and my niece and her son, everyone, that is family. But my extended family has been as much that. So where's the blood?
It's just that when you talk on the phone, you don't have to say anything. It's all communicated. If you're feeling sad, you don't have to tell your friend, I'm feeling sad. Your voice says it all. And that's how it is, isn't it?
So you see, other than my family and extended family, the third most beautiful thing that is in my beautiful aspect of my life are my friends. I have maybe 2 fistfuls of friends that I can count in my 2 hands, or maybe even more. I have a lot of friends, no doubt, but those are the kind of friends they can feel my emotion through the phone.